Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Denney will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Denney, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down at the landmark on Lee Street on the 3rd floor at The Landing. And I have a very special guest with me today. It's our own county judge, Mr. Bobby Stovall. How are you today, Bobby?
I'm great.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now. I'm going to call you Bobby the whole time.
Absolutely.
Because I've known you pretty much half of my life. For sure, I've known you. And so working for you when I worked at Kinsey Abstract and Sabine Title Company is how I really got to know you.
Right.
So you're definitely Bobby to me.
Thank you. I'm Bobby to everybody.
Yes. It's funny, though. I'll hear people talk about the county judge, and I'm like, oh, you mean Bobby?
Yeah.
So I want us to talk about that. But our goal on the show today is I really want people to get to know you. They've known you in the community as the person who owned Kinsey Abstract and Sabine Title Company, Stovall Surveying. But people don't really know you. And sometimes when you're in those positions, they only know what they've been told or what they've heard. And I know your heart and how much you do for other people and how much you care about our community. And so that's our goal today, is for them to get to hear that from you. And you are a long-term resident here from Greenville, Texas.
4th generation.
That is awesome. So let's kind of start there. What was it like growing up in Greenville?
Oh, it was, all-American town. It had all-American family. Of course, my father taught school here 43 years. He was the first principal at Crockett Elementary.
Oh, wow.
He was principal there for 25 years. I currently live in a house that my dad built on the family farm that's been in our family 110 years.
Really?
I still farm it and grow a little hay. Occasionally I get some cows. Try not to. Too much work. Don't have enough time to do all that. But my roots are deep. Mm-hmm. A lot of my family, I had aunt and uncles that were county clerks from back in the 40s to up into the 80s, and had other family members that worked all over the county. So got a lot of family here. It's home.
You couldn't get away with much then.
No. I got a speeding ticket one time when I was in high school late at night, and my dad woke me up in the morning telling me I was in trouble about getting a speeding ticket. So that part wasn't good.
Right.
Everybody knew me and my dad. So.
Did you ever think you would go into teaching since that's what your dad did?
I started out, went to A&M, hoping to play baseball and was going to be a coach, and that didn't work out, and so I changed and ended up with a surveying degree. So
Really? How did that happen?
I just didn't think I could make it in the coaching world. It'd be real hard since I didn't play college. I wasn't a college athlete, and I just didn't know that I wanted to go down that road. Math was my forte in school. Math came easy, so surveying seemed like a good path for me.
Was there someone that came along that made you interested in surveying? Like when you were making that decision that I'm going to do this, like what sparked that?
Fred Indy was a classmate of mine, and his father had a surveying company, and I worked for him occasionally during the summer.
Okay.
And so I had been introduced to it.
I was like, it had to come from somewhere,
Yeah.
Bobby. You didn't just decide, looking at the options of college, what you wanted to do.
I always thought it was a great job. Mr. Indy could work inside if it was, a bad day. If it was a pretty day, he could go outside and work. And I thought, man, that's a pretty good lifestyle. So that's what kind of attracted me to it. And plus, I liked the math part. And later on, I learned I loved the law part, and that's why I got into the title business, was because I really got where I enjoyed the law part, and got the opportunity to kind of scratch both itches, the math and the legal part.
That is the best of both worlds.
It was best of both. Had a great career.
Did you start in the surveying business? Did you open your own business after college, or when did you open Stovall
I started it in 80. I got licensed in 1980. I started the survey company in 1981.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
And then you had it all the way until when? When did you sell that company?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Had it 38 years.
It still has your name, so I still think of
Yep.
you.
Yeah. I owned it 38 years.
So I know you've told me this story before, but I want to hear it again, and I want to share it with other people. How did you get into the title business?
The gentleman might not appreciate me telling the story, but I was thinking about it. I was thinking about the legal side of it. As a surveyor, I worked with the title companies a lot. I was in their offices all the time. I saw kind of how it worked. Became really interested in it, and the legal side attracted me, of course. And I was at Kinsey Abstract one day with a bad survey that was really a mess. And the owner at the time, he got very upset about the problem. He kind of a little volatile, and he threw a phone book against the wall and said, I wish somebody would buy this business. And I said, how much you want? And the rest is history.
Really?
That's it. That's how I bought it.
How fun. You were in the right place at the right time.
That's right. God does wonders.
Yes, he does. That is so true. So what year was that roughly when you did that?
That happened in late 1989. I bought it February 1st, 1990.
Wow. Okay. I knew you'd had it for a long time. I wasn't
Right.
sure exactly how long. I was working for you in the early 2000
Right.
time frame. So,
Right.
and you built such an incredible company. And
Well,
I
thank
know
you.
Paige and Chris, were your right arms.
I had great people.
You did have great people, lots of great people.
I had a lot of people work for me a long time. I had a lot of people work 20 plus years for me. I had one of my best friends growing up, probably my best friend growing up, Lynn Holder.
Oh, yeah.
Was a Dallas firefighter, and he worked for me 35 years before he passed away with cancer.
Wow, that's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
Yes, good man.
Yes.
Now, that was Kinsey Abstract. How did you add the Sabine title?
Actually, I bought them both same time. It was
Oh,
a
you did? Okay.
corporation that owned both of them. So I bought the one owner out that he had 50% ownership, and I slowly bought everybody else out. And unfortunately, I bought in February 1st of 1990, and by the fall of 90, every bank in town had failed, but I think one.
Really?
And so it made no sense to have as many locations as what we had. So I really just kind of folded the two companies into one.
Okay.
And that's where Kinsey and Sabine came from.
Okay.
Instead of operating with two different storefronts, we made it one.
Right. I love Miss Brenda Sampson.
Oh, yeah. I
You know,
love
and
Brenda.
she came on board during that transition time too, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it generally
Yes.
during that time?
Within 6 months after I bought it, she came to work for us.
I was thinking it was pretty soon. She always was happy that she did. She thought that was the best thing
she's a
she'd done.
Wonderful person.
Yes, she is. I still miss her being in the closing table.
I miss
but-
seeing her every day also. She's a sweet, sweet lady.
And the story she could
Oh,
tell.
my goodness. Yeah.
What made you decide to sell it? You had it all of those years and built it into such an incredible company. What made you decide it was time to do something different?
It just gotten probably bigger than I was at that point in time. I just had more than I wanted to handle, or more than I could. I just knew it was time. I just realized it's time. I don't need to keep doing this. That was the decision I made.
And then you had the surveying company, right?
I kept it, but I was trying to sell it at the same time, and I sold it shortly after I sold the title company.
Right. Which kind of worked out in perfect timing because of your new role that you didn't know you were going to
Well,
take
it
on.
was really, it was perfect time, and I've been blessed I tell all the time, my father was such a great guy that I still get all his blessings. He didn't use them all. He left them for me.
He
so,
left you some.
Yeah.
He left you a lot,
He left
didn't
me.
he?
He left me a lot. So I was selling the the survey company, and been working on it for a few months. And the Friday before I was appointed judge, they sent me the contract by the survey company.
Wow.
So it just all worked out.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that you never intended to be the county judge.
I never intended to be.
That was never part of your plan.
I like being behind the scenes, not out in the front. Never wanted to be the front guy.
But all the years that you were behind the scenes and keeping up with the community and what was going on has really paid off for you because now you are the lead man as being the county judge.
I learned a lot through the years.
I bet. Can we take a minute? I know this is going to be hard for you. Can we take a minute and talk about John Horn?
Well, sure.
I know he was your best friend.
Right.
And which really worked out to be good because you kind of knew what was going on and were able to pick up that torch and keep going.
And it's been a blessing to be able to do that. It's just not only for the community, but to continue John's legacy. I knew it's some of the friends that used to be friends, I say all the time, that talked me into doing this.
You're not friends anymore, Bobby.
No, we're still great friends, but I tell them sometimes I don't like them anymore. But no, it just, I probably knew more about what John had going on. We talked a lot. We were good friends. We did trips together, skiing with the couples, and we went hunting a lot and went on some golf trips. And so John and I spent a lot of time together, and I always felt like I was his confidant. So he shared a lot with me. So I knew his thoughts and what he was trying to do, and so it was probably an easier transition for me than it would have been for most.
Absolutely. And knowing his vision,
Yes.
because you had that relationship, even though we were where we were at that moment, you knew where he wanted to take us.
Absolutely.
And you've been able to pick that torch up and keep that going. And it's so important in those roles you have a confidant. And
Right.
because you need someone that's like-minded, to be able to bounce things off of. And have
And you
thought
need
about
those
what
that
this?
aren't like-minded
Yes,
too.
that's true.
I learn a lot from people that I don't necessarily agree with, but sometimes that they make me change my position too.
Right.
So
Well, in having that pushback, it makes you see another perspective.
absolutely.
And being the county judge, has that made you have to look at things from different perspectives than maybe you had to in the past?
Every day. Yeah, it's. I try and I try to be open-minded. I know I've set my ways in certain things, but I'm also open to the other views too. And maybe I'm, I compare it to the liberals in the far rights of the political world. I mean, we used to have statesmen, and somewhere you got in the middle, and the left's not always right and not always wrong, and the right's not always left, or not always right and always wrong. Somewhere in the middle, they could compromise on some of those things, and it'd be better for the country. So that's kind of, I try to compromise where it makes sense. I'm not so hard nosed on some parts. Now, there's parts of my beliefs that I'm not going to budge on, but
Right. Well, you have to have that.
absolutely,
You have to stand firm.
You
for the
got to
things
stand
believe.
for what you believe in. But on policy matters and things that we should or shouldn't be doing, I always try to listen to both sides.
And, you were like that in business, too. Whenever we would come to you, if we had a situation with a file, you would always try to look at it objectively. And
Try to solve the problem.
yes, exactly.
That was one of my assets, was the analytical mind and being able to solve problems quickly. And I think that was a huge part of my success.
And it taught me that. That's one of the things I took away from working at Kinsey is there's always a solution. We just have to think it through and work through it, but we could always come up with a solution.
Got to find it.
Yes. And that did, just so you know that, it did stick with me
Oh,
from
good.
working with you. And
Makes me
and
feel good.
Working through those title issues and like having to think through how do we fix that title issue and how do we overcome this objection and so
Right.
and this exception so that we could get the file closed. And so that was such an important critical thinking skill that you passed on to me. So
Okay.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's talk about this. What was it like navigating COVID as the county judge? And you'd only been in office for, what, a few months? at that point?
About a year.
Oh, about a year. Okay.
Yeah, just right at a year. It's well, I tell the story. My wife is a political nut. She loves politics, and when this first came up, she was all excited about it. I mean, when I had to run for the last part of the term, she stood outside in the weather every day during early voting. Yeah. So, and she said, I told her, I said, look, this is probably going to be one term. That's it. I'm going to retire. I want us to travel. And she said, nope, you're staying in this. You're going to serve more than one term. And I said, I will see. And then when COVID hit, about the third month into it, she came in and she said, you're not running anymore.
Oh, so she changed.
She
her
says,
mind.
yeah, it was hard.
That is, I
She
can
saw it on my
imagine.
face and couldn't sleep. We had to make a lot of decisions I never dreamed about. I know a lot of people were upset when we shut down the businesses, and I having had my own business 38 years, it broke my heart. But it was the right thing to do.
It was.
And I don't regret any of the early decisions. We didn't know anything.
Right.
Nobody knew anything. We tried to. I've told several friends that didn't appreciate the decisions we made, and that's fine. They're entitled to their position on it. But from the big picture, I knew we had to keep our hospital. And what I told everybody at the time, and still believe it, my concern was if we couldn't keep the hospital open, that somebody's family would be in a car wreck and have to have emergency help, and there'd be no place to take them. And they'd die because I didn't do my job.
Right. That's
So-
a huge burden on your shoulders.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
I know during that time, when you were having to make those decisions to close down things, I would tell people, listen, I know Bobby Stovall. He would not close us down unless he absolutely knew this is what we needed to do. Because I knew you would have done everything possible to keep businesses open if that was the right decision. And once I personally understood about the hospitals, that we didn't want to be overran and not be able to take care of our people, it made sense.
Right.
It was to protect the people.
Well, what everybody doesn't understand, it just not even the hospital and their people. The big challenge we had, we couldn't get any of the PPE stuff. I mean, we had doctors and nurses out there reusing masks and gowns for days. They were sanitizing them the best they could. We couldn't get it. They were on just as need basis to get what the necessities they had to have. So we had to let the supply chains catch up. We had to get it to where, even as they've been able to do a wonderful job at our hospital handling the situation, they couldn't without the tools they needed, and that was one of the most dire things we had. They just didn't have the tools, and over time they got caught up. But I used to say all the time, I can't call Trump and get a ship brought in, to help us out. Well,
he didn't have that direct connect.
We did not have. Now my wife wished I did, but I did not have that connection.
If anyone could get it, though, Cindy could go get it.
She could go get it. Yeah, she would have liked to have that, but that was the problem. Being a small county, I felt like we had to take care of ourselves. I mean, they were diverting supplies that were supposed to come to us to Dallas.
Wow.
Or we wouldn't get our full order. We'd get part of it, but then part of our order would go to Dallas or somewhere else, because they were trying to serve the most needs, and somebody higher up was making hard decisions like I was making. So we understood it. But once we got the supply chain, or not us, but once the supply chain got built up, it got things better. But if we hadn't done some things that we did, and it would have been a lot worse. I know try to tell this quickly. The first decision we made to shut down, we'd been on vacation, coming back. I got called back early because of it. I had no intentions on Monday morning, 17th, I think it's 16th or 17th of March, that I'd be voting to shut down businesses. But
right.
When I got back on Friday, we drove home. I was on the phone a lot of the way home with governor's offices and emergency management people and whoever else we needed to be talking to. And Saturday I was on it. Sunday I spent a lot of time with all the local judges in surrounding areas. By Sunday night, I already knew, of course, Dallas had already announced they were shutting down Dallas. I was on a phone call till way after midnight with all the judges in our COG area, and I knew what each of them was fixing to do, and most of them were fixing to shut down in the next few days. And my worry was, we had no COVID. They had it all over these other areas, and if we were open, they were all coming here. And I didn't want them bringing COVID to us.
Right.
And so that was my argument, that we had to shut down to keep them from bringing it to us and to protect our hospital.
Right. So you were being proactive.
Yes.
And that's probably what the citizens didn't know and understand.
Probably don't
that
know
moment.
that, but that was...
Because our numbers were so low, and it was like, why do we have to shut down? We're low, but not understanding the bigger picture. If we're open and everyone else is closed. Everybody comes here.
That's right.
And
that was my fear, that they would bring it. I knew Rockwall was closing, and Kaufman was, Dallas already had. Collin probably wasn't going to, but Tarrant was going to, Denton was going to, Ellis was going to. I mean, so everybody but Collin basically was shutting down, and we didn't have any choice, I didn't think.
No. I mean, and I always say, you make the best decision you know to make at the time.
I have no regrets with that decision.
When did you start sleeping again? Did it take months?
Months, yeah. Probably this summer, almost.
Summer.
Yeah, it's like probably about a year,
Almost a year.
really get back to kind of sleeping. We took our first trip in June of this year, and my wife said, I didn't hear the TV early. What did you do early this morning? I said, I slept till 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Which I usually woke up at 3:30 or 4 and had the TV on or something. So on that trip was the first night I'd really slept all through the night. And since then I've slept a lot better.
That's good. You need that. You
I
need
needed
your
it.
rest.
Oh,
When
absolutely.
you're making those big decisions, you need your rest
Yeah.
for that, to think clearly. How's it been since the Delta variant?
It hasn't been not nearly as bad. Of course, by now the governor's taken everything over, so a lot of the tough decisions got taken away from us. And we're involved in it, but not to the extent that we were earlier. So it's not been near as bad as from my position. Now the hospital is getting killed. I mean, it's horrible.
I know. It's really bad.
They've done a super job. I mean, we owe a great debt to everybody that works out there. And
Absolutely.
need to thank them every time you see a doctor or nurse, for they've been through blanket
Yes.
back.
They have, and I'm so thankful they don't quit their jobs.
Oh,
you know,
well,
because
that was-
that would be so hard to go in and do that every single day.
I do not know how they do it.
I don't either. I mean, they're definitely our angels here on
They
earth.
they are. I don't.
Help get us through.
I just
and-
hope we can keep them.
I know. And I've talked to people who they're working their way to get out of the industry because
Yes.
it is so hard, but we need them
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much.
We got to have them, and if we don't have them, what do we do?
Right, right.
It could be worse than COVID if we don't have health care.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about something fun.
All right.
What do you love about being county judge? I know. I went all the way to the other side, all the way, Bobby. I was like, okay.
Can I start at nothing? No. I love, the county's just a big business, and I'm the budget officer, and kind of, a lot of people look at it as a CEO of the county. I've run businesses all my business career, all my working career anyway, so it's fun. It's just a big business, and it's a hard business because you got all these elected officials, and you can't tell another elected official what to do. So it's a little different than having employees.
Right.
And everybody tells me, you ought to take care of that. And I go, there's only one person I can hire and fire, and that's it. The rest of them work for somebody else that I can't tell them what to do.
You can't.
But we can set policies and do things and try to lead, and those are the things I enjoy doing in business. So I keep trying to do that, and I like that.
You have always been a leader, at least as long as I've known you, and based on everything you're sharing with me, you've always been a leader. Where did that come from?
I guess my father. I just, I was always involved in sports, usually captain of the teams. I was always, playing. I played ball. I chased ball. Anything that had a ball, I played it when I was growing up. And, coaches, I learned a lot from the coaches. Coach Keene and Coach Hogue and some of them back in the day, Coach Calvert. I mean, they were great leader, great men. They taught us. Back in the day, they built young men. They weren't worried about winning games. They liked to win. Everybody likes to win. But some of the old coaches, I think they thought more about building men. I tell the story a lot about, I won't use names, but like me and some other friends were in the locker room playing football. We were seniors on the football team starting, and we had a young man on the team that I always said couldn't walk and chew gum and all. And one of us made a comment to the coach, why did you even let him stay on the team? And boy, he spun around at us and he said, boys, what he's learning on that field may save his life in Vietnam someday.
Wow.
And we go, wow.
Wow. So
We
then
turned around and quietly walked away. But
I bet.
that I've always remembered that. It was an impact to me
Wow.
that's what their job was. And they did a great job.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. How you don't think about that when coaches today or just anyone today. You don't
Yeah.
think about they are trying to prepare you for more than just that one
Right.
game or that.
And I'm
seat
not
that-
saying they're not doing it today. I
Right.
think it was more so back in the day.
And it's probably different too. We're not necessarily always preparing for war.
Right.
And you're in that season of.
I was, yeah,
at war.
we were right in the middle of it.
Now, were you a part of? Did you have to deal with being drafted or any of those
My
things?
draft number was 268 or something, so I was
wow.
lucky. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What was that like knowing you could be drafted?
It was a little nerve-wracking. I mean, the night that they drew the birthdays out, everybody was pretty nervous about it.
Really? Like, how often did they draw birthdays?
I think every year, if I remember right. I don't totally remember that, but I think it was every year.
So was it like a month and a year? If that was how did that work? How did they do that?
They drew a month and a day out of it.
Oh.
And so when that
If that
day,
was your day and
if that was your
month,
birthday, that was your number.
Wow.
Yep.
Did they do it on the TV? Is that how they did it?
As far as I remember, yes.
Oh my goodness. I
Yeah.
can't imagine that. I mean, I guess it's a pretty fair way to do it, I
Right.
guess. I mean, that nobody's intentionally picking anyone. and
No.
So, wow, that's interesting. I did not know that.
That's my memory, and I'm old, so maybe I'm off a little bit.
You're not old, but you know what? It should make our generation today thankful that they don't have to sit and do that today.
Right.
At least so.
And most people that numbers were real low, they went and joined.
Oh, just go ahead and do it and
Go pick
be
the
a part.
service you want to be in, just go.
And just go.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful they did.
Oh, yeah.
So thankful for all the men and women that serve our country that way.
In all the wars, yes.
Absolutely. Okay, Bobby, we're on Heart of Greenville. So let's talk about some things that you love about Greenville. So this is you personally. What are some things that you love about Greenville, or maybe some places that you loved to visit when you were a kid? Like, let's just talk about Greenville for a few minutes.
Oh, like I said earlier, I think Greenville was always, to me, it was small town America. It was the perfect American town. Greenville, even since my early days, the public's always been very giving. They've always been generous. They've always, been willing to, stand up and do the right things. And, we always had a lot of volunteers, and we've always had great volunteers in Greenville and across the county. I mean, this is a great spot to live and grow up and be around some really good people that care. And it's the people,
It is.
It's the people.
Absolutely. I say the same thing. It's the people that make this home.
Yeah, it is.
us.
It is. It's we got great people.
What were some fun things that you liked to do when you were a kid in Greenville?
I played ball.
You just played ball. You just played ball. That was your
ball.
goal.
Yeah, I did. I was an addict. If it had a ball, I played it. It didn't matter.
Now today you like to play golf.
Yes.
Right? That's your ball today.
That's about all I'm able to play anymore. I've been playing golf 55 years or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where did that love for the golf come in?
I started playing when I was 10 or 12 years old, and my dad had got some clubs. Of course, he was doing some school functions, and some of them were playing golf, so he got some clubs. He never got really active in it, but Keith and Chuck Jacobs were close friends of mine, and they were playing. Their dad had got them playing, so I started going along. We were playing Little League together, so we started playing golf, and we played every day during the summers and just fell in love with it.
That's cool. Do you have like a dream course you want to play on that you haven't played on yet?
Oh, the Masters course, I guess. I played Pebble Beach, fortunately. I played been blessed to play some really nice courses, so... but there's no way I'll ever get to Augusta. But I've been to the tournament.
I was going to say, you've been to the tournament.
I've been to the tournament several times, so that's as close as I'll probably get, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. And I remember you had a picture up in your office, too, of a golf course. And
I had a bunch of them.
Yeah,
I've got a bunch of them.
That's too funny. What's something else that you enjoy doing? Like here in the community, is there an activity in the community that you always look forward to and you can't wait to be a part of?
Of course, as I've gotten older, I've kind of gotten out of some of that, but I always like being involved in the chamber and going to their events and being involved in the events of the chamber. I think as we all get older, I think we get less active in those kind of things, but I like going to all of the events that are around town. Don't do all of them like I should or not like I used to. But
and it's hard to. I mean, you're pulled in so many different directions now, too.
It's tougher, and I go to sleep too early now.
That's funny. Where would you like to see Greenville in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I don't, in my job now, I seem like I focus on Hunt County all the time.
Right.
So
We'll say Hunt County, yes.
Of course, we've been planning for growth. I mean, everybody's, knows growth is coming and, things that I think, that I know I'm proud of, and I hope the community thinks are proud of me for doing that. We've rewritten our subdivision rules, trying to make at least the developments we get as good as we can make them. We don't get to do it like a city. As a county, we don't have all the authority that cities have, but we're taking all the authority the states allows us to have, and in with that, of course, John had the foresight to lead in the road and transportation,
Yes.
but all that focused on state highways, and so we've gone out and now we're soon to be completed, a thoroughfare plan of our county roads. The fear is that if we don't have a thoroughfare plan for our county roads, they're building houses and putting subdivision in. We're not going to have any corridors left to put major roads through, so we won't be able to get from A to B all the time. So we're designating these areas where we can stop people from doing that, make them give us right of way and or build roads so that in the future we have good road systems within the county, and we don't have that right now.
Right. That's so important.
And back to the subdivision rules, by law, we can only ask for a 30-foot right-of-way from each side of the road unless you have a thoroughfare plan. Oh. If we have a thoroughfare plan, then we can ask for the required right-of-way for the thoroughfare plan. Okay. So if we need a 120-foot right-of-way, a major road, we can ask each side to give us 60 feet, and we're within our rights. So. Wow. So that's really important. At some point we have to build roads.
Right.
We don't want to have to buy houses or go through the middle of a subdivision. We want to get something on a map, get it on lines on a piece of paper that can be moved but at least we know that this area, we got to have a north-south road or east-west road so we can get the public around as it grows.
It's so important. And I think any of us that saw what Rockwall went through all of those years
Oh,
of
yeah.
not having that planning done the way that they should have.
So we're doing everything we can to get get plans out there. For better or worse, they're a plan. They're the best plan we have today, and they're a living thing. I tell everybody they're not a Bible. They can be changed.
Right. It's a living document.
It's a living document. It can be changed. And with that, we're also doing in the county. We're doing new zoning rules around Lake Tawakoni. Counties don't have zoning authority except the state granted zoning within 5,000 feet of the take line of Lake Tawakoni. And it's all been there since in the 70s. Those zoning ordinances that were passed back then I think it was in late 70s, early 80s when that was done. They wrote the ordinance back then. It's never been looked at since. There's no fees. There's really no organization of how to do it.
Right.
The community's gotten really involved in wanting that planning and zoning board to be active. So we've got them new rules. We're getting them new rules. Those should be done first of next year. Getting a new zoning map, getting it where we can start to enforce it and start making that area around the lake a lot better and make it grow correctly.
Yes, which will be good.
Which will be good. So we've been busy planning for the future, and I think that's going to help a lot.
I think it will too. And thank you for having that vision, and realizing
that's my life.
We need to see this.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's one of those good things, my background. I mean, I've been involved in those most of my life. That's part of the surveying world. So I used to represent clients at zoning boards and all, so I knew a little bit about it. So
very true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Another way God prepared you
That's
for
right.
this role. All right, Bobby, I said at the end I was going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 20, and that would be your final question. So what is your number?
4.
Okay. Number 4, what is your all-time favorite memory?
Oh, wow.
I told you there were no wrong answers, so.
I guess the day I met my wife on the side of the road fixing a flat.
Tell us that story. You told it to me the other day, but share it.
My wife, I was at my son's house, and he wasn't there. I stopped by to say hi, and by the time I was leaving, he pulled up in the driveway and said, "Hey, I need some help. You're going with me." And I said, "Okay." And I jumped in the truck with him, and he had to come get some tools. So my wife was pulling a horse trailer with 2 horses in it, and they blew out a tire. My years later to be wife was pulling the horse trailer and got worried about it and got it off the side of the road, and it wrapped the rubber around the axle, and they couldn't get it off. My son couldn't get it, so we came to the farm to get tools, and so I went back, and I didn't help a whole lot, but I went, and that's where I met my wife on the side of the road.
That's too funny. You
Yep.
never know.
You don't ever know.
And y'all dated for several years
Oh,
before
yeah.
you actually got married, right?
Yeah, couldn't talk her into it for a long time.
She had to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure. That's good. And she's into horses and
Oh,
all
yeah.
types of things like that.
Yeah, she's a CPA by career,
Right.
but fortunately she's retired from that and doesn't have to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week anymore. So
So she can jump in and support you
yeah,
and support the
she's-
county and
yes,
be an advocate for us.
that's right. And she loves the horses. She's a rated judge. She judges hunter jumper shows, and
Oh, wow.
so she's really involved. She does some training. She loves to teach kids how to ride. So
Now that it's cooler, I'm going to call her and get Dave set up.
there you go. Yeah.
For her lesson.
She'll enjoy it.
Yes.
Both of them will
I'm
enjoy
excited.
it.
They will.
Yeah, they both will enjoy it.
Yes. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I've really enjoyed getting to hear some of the stories I've heard before, but also get to know a lot about what you've gone through over the last few years as being the county judge. But mostly, thank you so much for serving our community. And you've done it with your whole heart, with your whole being. And I know it's been hard for you, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
You're so welcome. My privilege. Thanks, Bobby.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.